All right, guys, I want to give you guys a tip before we start installing. It's what not to do and what to do to prepare for this installation. So I'm going to walk you through the tools you'll need and what tools you shouldn't be using and what tools you should be using and why. So check it out. So everyone probably has a set of Allen keys, right, with the L. If you have the ones where it's a Swiss Army knife, throw it in the trash. You're not going to use that. It's going to be a pain to install. You want to use something like this at the very least. If not, get a toolkit where you can hook up your power drill into a set like this and take it apart, because otherwise you're going to be doing this for a long time. Now, time. I've done this so many times, I could probably do it in about 15 to 20 minutes, but I highly encourage you guys to put aside 2 hours to do this. Otherwise, you're going to have pinched wires, you're going to have stuff going wrong, and you're going to call us to be able to fix things and problems that are preventable. So set aside 2 hours, get the right tools, and we'll get it going. So what I wanted to do is show you where the harness wiring system is on the bike and what to look out for. So inside of the bike here, you're going to have a big section of wires bunched up over here that funnel into here, and then you're going to have a set of wires that are bunched up down here. It's very, very, very important you are delicate and take your time installing this, because you don't want to pinch any wires. If you pinch the Sur-Ron harness, a brand new Sur-Ron harness is about $100, and it takes about a week to get there from Amazon or wherever you buy it from. So please be very careful when you're putting it back together. Don't shove anything in. Want to take off the controller. The controller has 4 bolts to be able to remove the controller from the body, and 2 that takes care of this cap. So if you zoom in right here, if you come in, this cover right here has 2 bolts to it, right? Once you take these 2 bolts off, this slides out. You don't need this at the moment. You're gonna put it to the side. So you're gonna have 2 bolts left. One here, one here. Once these 2 come out, the top portion's released. Now you're gonna work on the bottom portion. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove the 2 side bolts. Very easy. I'm gonna try to do this without the bike tipping over. That side's off. And as you can see, the controller releases itself from the body and starts coming loose. Very important, you don't yank anything, right? So you want to carefully bring it down to about here. And this is as much access you can have to the controller until you make the next move. The next move is going to be to release the bolt from here and on this side, right? There's going to be 2 bolts to remove this back panel to come back. So you want this plate right here, might get a close up. You want this plate right here to pop backwards, right? So you can have access to the harness system. So you're gonna pull these bolts down. You're gonna get your power tool. Yeah. Remove this side. Two sides.
Very thorough video, it's good.
Right? You're gonna slide it back. So now we have the top portion of the controller, or the connectors, and as you can see, there's a bunch of wires just jam-packed in here. So now going back to the controller, we're gonna start getting this a little tight. What we're gonna do is we're gonna remove all the bottom cables down here. So there's 3 phase connections that go into the motor, and then 2 for the power. So 1 is out, right? 2. So you have yellow, green, and blue. You don't have to worry about the order because we'll let you know where it goes when you put it back together. So you'll look at mine and say, well, Armond, what about this part right here? Mine's attached. There's 2 bolts that go to the side. You just want to take it off. It's just a protective cover. It's not a big deal. So again, you don't want to yank the wires, so make sure you put it down somewhere safe because there's more things to unclick. So when we come down here, you have 3 connectors. You have the black one. We're going to unclick. And again, see how I'm pulling it from the plastic? I'm not yanking it from here. Don't yank from here because it's going to mess up the wires. It's very hard, especially if you've had an older one. You just need to do it. Press this really hard and pull apart as best as you can without yanking the wires. Otherwise, you're going to tear apart some your wires. So now we have this one. Press and hold, pull out. Press and hold, pull out. That one was a little hard. And your controller's out just like that. All right, so what we want to do is take the controller. Don't mind this one. This one's been used and abused, so it's a little dirty. What we want to do is we want to connect the phase connectors. We're going to connect the power, and then we're going to plug in these 3 cables, right? So I always like to start at the bottom with the phase connections. So the orientation is going to be blue, green, yellow. So we get the blue one first. And the beauty about this one is, because a lot of other controllers have an issue with over torquing, you break the motherboard. This one, what's awesome is there's nothing underneath it. It's a straight bar out, so you can tighten it really, really good. Blue. Got the green one. All right, phase wires done. So now what you want to do is you want to do the power side. So what you want to do is find something stable, take off the 2 bolts. Red is positive, black is negative. Again, not too much torque, very lightly up here. Very lightly here. Make sure the wires are straight. So you're going to take the brand new harness kit that came with the controller, and you're going to apply it to the controller. So what you're looking for is these 2 connectors where they're next to each other. These 3 right here. Skinny one and the long one. Long one clicks right here. This connector is on the outside. Connects, and again, you hold it from here. Make sure you don't pull these wires. Next one's this one right here. Goes right in, connects, clicked, clicked. And then this one goes down to the bottom side portion, which is right here, and clicks. So what you want to do is find the big chunky connectors that are coming down and start connecting them all. So let's start with this wide one. So the black wide one with this one right here, and we'll have these numbered for you guys. So black one goes right here, clicks together, and again I'm holding the plastic, clicking it. Next one, square one, right, with the 9 pin, line it up, clicked. So again, you're looking for the cables from the top. You're gonna find this piece, the 4 pin, and then line it up, make sure it's sitting correctly. It's this way, and click. Okay, so then we have this triangle left plus this little blue one. Triangle, you're gonna find 2 that are very similar. You wanna use the one that has the green and 2 black wires. Okay, we're gonna push this one off to the side. Then we have this blue one left. This is gonna go in from the inside. Now, mine's already pre-installed, but I'm gonna show you guys where the screen goes. So now what you wanna do is install the bracket for the screen. It's pretty straightforward. I'll show you how it looks. So it comes with 2 of these brackets, right? So you're just gonna unscrew, attach it onto the frame of the handlebar. If you have any kind of gear up here, you might have to realign it. So I have the Fisher Fab House. I had to realign it off to the side a little bit. Regardless, you put these onto the frame, then you screw on to the display. Pretty straightforward. So the next thing is you have to run the wiring for the screen and also the click button function button and the regen throttle. The screen's gonna come with this cable right here. What you wanna do is tuck it in front of the frame, then take this blue wire and only the blue wire and take the 2 bolts off the ignition key and run down the blue wire into the frame. Make sure when you're putting it back on, these wires aren't pinched and they're coming through the little gap in the hole. Okay. So where is it? So this is the blue wire from the screen. As you can see, it's gonna plug right into the harness. You wanna make sure you line it up correctly. It looks like it's this way. And clicks all the way in. Done. And we're done connecting the wires. We have to now just put it all back together. So the goal is you don't want to just shove it back in and push it all back together. You need to tuck the wires in properly. So this batch of wires goes into this space here. You want to make sure the wires come down the left and right side properly and clean. I'll give you guys an example. And the intention is to prevent any wires from getting crimped up and shorted out because we're, stretching the wires out. So what I'm gonna do is open the battery lid. So this is the part that gets tricky. You have your controller, you have everything plugged in, and it just looks like a rat's nest. So you'll notice inside the frame, there's a lot of space in there, right? You need to tuck in this big batch of wires in there properly without pinching wires. And then you need to get these tucked in there as well. This batch of harness cables tucked in there as well. Line this up, take it right there. Well, oh, you know what? We gotta tuck these on the inside. This is power. Power stays on the inside. And then this brake cable stays on the outside. So make sure you don't mess that up. Power stays on the inside. Just something to hold the frame together, or the controller to the frame. Okay. So we're back to tucking in. It's back there. Okay. And then you want to bring the door back with making sure it's not pinching anything. If you can get a close-up over here. So as you can see, this bottom portion, right, there's not too many connectors. The connectors are all stuffed upwards, right, up to the top, and it's just wires exposed. So what you want to do is bring this close in, make sure it lines up, make sure nothing's being pinched. Okay, this is about where you want it. So as you can see, this cap is able to properly line up and close about right there. That's where it should be. This is sticking out. And then on this side, over here, there's no wire sticking out. You want to look in the corners, make sure nothing's being pinched. Over here, you want to make sure the brake line's on the outside. This has to actually get back in there. I'm not using a lot of sensors, so I might have an extra connection or so. I might come back later and tape those off, but for now, this is looking good. So now you want to screw this plate back on to the frame by putting the 2 screws back through here. You want to make sure, if you can come over here, put the camera, see these little metal clips that hold on to the bolt? You want to make sure they're lined up through the hole and you didn't lose these. These have to line up with the hole on the side right here. Okay? So again, we push in, make sure we're not pinching any wires lightly. A little bit of resistance, you see what you're pushing against. And if it's a wire, you just need to move it around. This wire here, a little higher. Bam, lined up. Okay, so once you get this lined up and you screw it on, along with the other side, this back plate's on, right? So now you have this coming up from the top, and then down here, we have to revisit the controller and put that controller back on properly. So what you're gonna need is, you're gonna need 4 bolts, 2 long ones, along with 2 small ones for the side. So the 2 small ones go on the side, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna give you spacers. I'm using these prototypes, you'll get different spacers that will fit at the top to be able to create space at the top of the controller. Because if you look over here, so if you shove the controller all the way in and screw this in, it's gonna smush the cables inside and it's gonna cause issues. So you need to run a small spacer at the top, right over here, behind these holes. So when the controller goes in, it sits flush and clean, but it's not pressing up against the wires. So let's get right into it. I like to do the bottom ones first. So I already have one over here, right? So what I'll do is I'll line up this side as well. And you're gonna line up this side as well. Remember, you're not putting it here. You're putting it here, the flush part. You're gonna line it up, put it in with your hand first to not strip it. The king of stripping screws. So I like to tighten it up with hands, and you're done. The controller is done at the bottom. Now you have to focus at the top. So what I always like to do is go through, make sure everything's tucked in nice, nothing's touching. So what we did was, with our fingers, we tucked in all the bolts. We lined up the holes right here on both sides, and we put the screw through, right? Then we came to the front, and we gave you 2 spacers that go behind the controller right here, that go through the bolt and get screwed in. Basically, you want to make sure you go through all the different sides and make sure nothing's being pinched, nothing's being jammed. Once you've done that, you tighten up the 2 bolts at the top, you tighten up the 2 bolts on the side, here and one more on the other side. And the controller is installed properly in the front. All right, you're gonna come back to this boot, make sure everything's tucked inside. Yes, we zip tied it earlier, but we're gonna do a better job. So it's tucked in nicely. And you're gonna take this and make room for it in here, along with the throttle cable. Make sure nothing's being pinched on the outside. And then you're gonna raise up your skid plate. And then you wanna find the hole. You kinda have to get in there, right? You wanna find the hole and line it up. And tighten it up by hand or use a tool. Now that you've done with the install, go ahead and clean up the wires across the handlebar. A quick tip, make sure you turn your handlebars all the way to the left, all the way to the right. Make sure the cables aren't snagging, they're not short, and then zip tie it up properly so you have a clean handlebar cockpit. If you run into any issues or if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. All our information is below. We're standing by to make sure that you're ready to go. Thanks again for purchasing Axon Racing.